All right, good day, gents, and welcome to another episode of Father's Fire. My name's Jody Cedric, and every week we get together to explore the joys, the challenges, the triumphs, the sorrows, and yes, the fun of being a dad. And really, our mission is to share our experiences, share our stories, share our pain as a dad, our fun as a dad, and most importantly, the lessons learned as a dad, so that we can help all of us become better men, better fathers, and better husbands. And I tell you, I've had some amazing discussions with my wife the past week, and it's really got me taking a look inward. So that's really what it takes. So want to remind you before we get into my guest, I want to remind you that I'm part of the Speak Fire family, and also want to give a mad shout out to Julian Gibson and Boss Talk Nation, who are huge supporters of the podcast. And with that said, I want to welcome my guest for round two, Mr. Nikko Sadlowski from Scotland, originally from Poland. And I'm super excited because if you recall, he is the author of the book called The A Word and is very passionate about helping men and families deal with autism in their family, how you wrestle with it as a dad, how you wrestle with it as a family, how you triumph as a family through autism and trauma. I mean, because let's be realistic. The expectations, in fact, welcome, Nikko. I should just say hello to you. Super excited to have you.
Good to be here. It's good to be here.
So one of the things that I've been thinking about since our last discussion is I know you're doing a lot of work with men and with families to help them through the challenges of autism. And I guess, I think like you said, like you shared in the last episode, I think a lot of people don't even know how to talk about it, right? It's just kind of, so let's talk about, how can a family really just have the open discussion and say, all right, this is our reality. Mm-hmm. And how are we going to go on this journey together? Because I think sometimes, in fact, I had this discussion just last night. I was like, man, I wish that I didn't have to wrestle with this. She goes, yeah, but that's our reality. And it may affect these future decisions and these future goals that we're talking about. And I'm like, yeah, I may have to put off being so selfish and this is what I want, and recognize this is what I'm going to have to do as a dad.
I mean, to be honest, that was, something new for us as a family, because obviously we didn't expect that our child is going to be, autistic, and, no one expects that, so you look always for, you want to have a happy and healthy child, but when diagnosis comes over, everything's crumbling down, and for us, that was a bit, that was a question, what's next? First, I didn't know much back then about autism, and I guess there is many families in the same position because, I knew that the autism was for me this big scary word, it's like I know what autism is, but I didn't realize really. And now I know that each person with autism might be different, got different traits of autism. There might some things like in common, but still, if you know one person with autism, one person with autism. But for us, that was something which we had to explore ourselves, and I think the saddest part of this exploration was that I lost almost everyone around me because that was my son, obviously, and I wanted to know, and I was talking to everyone I knew. If someone asked me, how you doing, Nikko? I was like, well, we got now autism diagnosis. Mark is diagnosed with autism, and we have to discover, we have to learn. And obviously, after a while, people got tired of autism and me talking about autism. But I couldn't talk about anything else because that was what as we say in Scotland, my wee boy, my son, and unfortunately, probably I lost 90% of friends or colleagues. So it means that they weren't really friends, So at the end, we left with a small amount of close friends, and we had to learn and discover what is autism and how to deal with it, and how to, how to talk about it, and how to, because like my mother, so grandmother of my son, she's deaf, she's living back in Poland. For her it was difficult, still is difficult to understand what autism is. Even, she can't hear him, so she doesn't understand that he's not talking, he's just vocalizing. So man, I don't know if I answer your question, but for us that was the huge part of losing actually people around us, because they couldn't understand why we're talking about autism so much. And that's pretty sad, because I guess many families struggling with a sick child, or with additional needs child, they become quite isolated, because no one else to understand them. We tend to live in the moment. We have happy children, healthy children, and that's okay. But when someone else got child with autism, or a sick child, we're saying, oh, that's a shame, but we can't even empathize, because it is difficult, because we cannot walk in someone else's shoes and feel the same. We've got empathy, but it's not the same, because for some people, autism is just a word. They know more or less what is it, but they don't have to deal with that on everyday basis, and they don't have to go through this stage from being, why us, anger, and up to acceptance, So I guess that's very difficult to explain.
Well, the aspect of losing, I think that's an interesting perspective, because I think, you're like, look, I'm trying to not only wrap my head around the experience that our family is having, but I also am trying to share with you, who are supposed to be my friends, my colleagues, the experience that we're going through, not in a spirit of look at me and pity me and feel sorrow for me, but I'm trying to help you understand and connect with our family in a meaningful way, so that you understand the perspective that I'm coming from. And it's hard, right? Because when you're going through something, it's very personal for you. And what I've learned is that those challenges, that it's easy to say my misery, can, if we allow it, we can allow that misery to become our ministry, that challenge to become our opportunity to lift and educate and move the needle, not only for my family, but also for other families that are experiencing the same thing. And sometimes it's a real challenge. Just like even me with my experience with adoption, there are things that I share very openly with people and on the podcast, but there's also things that I hold back. And the reason why is I'm trying to be sensitive that it is their story, but it's also my story too, right? Because I'm walking through it with them. And that can be a delicate balance, because you want to be respectful on one hand, but you also want to have an impact to help other people that want to go through adoption, to adopt kids. And what does that look like? What are the challenges that you've gone through? Because I know, when we first started going through the adoption process, they're like, oh, we need to have you do these parenting classes. And I'm like, I don't need parenting classes. I've already had 4 kids. But what they were trying to prepare me for was the trauma that a lot of these kids experience. And they were trying to arm me in a way that I could be prepared for it. The problem is until you're in it, you have no true idea of what it really is like.
Yeah, that's true. And, don't get me wrong. I wasn't like, sad, and I wasn't pitying myself. I was just, even when I went to college, I was saying, look, guys, to my pals, I want to change stuff. I want to, understand more of my son's behavior and that. But, they've been just tired of me talking about autism. And end of the day, that's fine, absolutely fine. And I don't have hard feelings for them at all, because, because, you know, I decided to follow my son and my family and diagnosis and help others in because that's what I do now, you know, and that was my choice. And I think, you know, the same when it comes to adoption and stuff, we deciding what we want to do and we deciding which way to go, you know, as our journey. And you and myself, we chose the different journey from others, and that's fine, you know, that's absolutely fine.
Yeah, but what's cool about it is because you are willing to share your experience, it's leading you into this journey where you can help other people that had the same questions that you had in the past, but
Yeah.
now they have a resource. So let's talk about the work that you're doing and kind of what you're trying to do, but two, most importantly, the kind of impact that you're seeing as you're working with different men and different families.
Well, it's difficult, you know. I'm catching myself sometimes in this situation, especially in the supervision with my boss, you know, my line manager, that I work with the family for a year, you know. I'm trying to build, first of all, build a relationship with the father and his children, you know, and to build his confidence as a father. But sometimes, you know, I'm working with, you know, with in areas of, you know, multiple deprivation, with families, you know, after trauma and with drugs, you know, and it is sometimes difficult to see the progress, because sometimes you think the family is doing so well, you know, and the bond with the son is okay and is getting great, but, you know, the shadow of addiction comes back, you know, relapse and stuff like this. And sometimes, you know, sometimes I feel so, not maybe frustrated is the right word, but so sad, because I would like to give my heart to those guys and say, look, you've done so well. And I know this is just my perspective, and I have to understand as well, each of them fighting their own demons, you know, and from my from my perspective, that might be something, you know, which I might not even grasp. I don't have idea how to be, you know, addicted to this or that, to how to walk into someone's shoes. And what I do, you know, I'm really trying to show my dads I'm working with that if you don't have the real fantastic role model, that's okay. If you don't feel confident as a dad, that's okay. Let's do something together and let's try to be, you know, a bit better tomorrow. You know, not, you don't have to be the best dad, but just try to be a bit better tomorrow than you were yesterday, you know, and small steps. So absolutely love my work, and you know, and I learned from my dads a lot, because, you know, I don't know, it's hard to explain. Seriously, it's just.
Yeah. So one of the challenges that I see as a dad, especially if you're a dad coming from the perspective of I was addicted and I'm trying to get my life back on track, and I'm trying to prove to you that I'm all in, that I've made the changes, that I'm, you know, I'm past whatever was in the past. The problem is that I see that is huge is it's hard to forgive the past, right? And it's hard to see that people have made changes, especially if you're a kid. Because I remember, you know, my uncle was severely alcoholic, and his alcoholism exhibited itself in physical abuse to my cousins, right? And I remember very distinctly talking to my cousin and saying, look, you need to reconnect with your dad. And she's like, look, man, why do you want me to do that so bad? And I go, there's a lot of reasons, but the most important reason is that I want you to get past your feeling of darkness in your soul, because that's cankering you. It's holding you back. You know, whether or not your dad feels like you've forgiven him, that's part of it. But the real crux of the matter is to get that darkness out of your heart. And it's tough, right? Because you want to give your heart, you want to forgive, but there's this doubt that they're going to live up to what they said they're going to do at this point.
Well, I work is a is a voluntary organization, so they don't have. That's the beauty of it. They don't have to work with. Are you there? Oh, sorry.
I lost you for a sec. You started to say that's the beauty of the organization.
Yes,
So.
that's the beauty. That's the beauty of voluntary organizations, that they don't have to work with me. This is not like a court order that you have to work with social services. They can tell me anytime. You know what? I don't like you. I don't want to work with you. And so we've got this freedom. I can say to the guys, look, pal, I don't like this, or he can say to me, just piss off or something like that. We're building a relationship, and that's the beauty of it. And in my line of work, in my organization, we don't do stuff to the family, for the family. We do with the family. So it's always like we're sitting down and we asking, okay, pal, tell me what you think you could do better, or what you think you would like to change. And we're making a work plan, and we're working together. I'm not saying you have to do this and that. I don't have to do that, because this is not my life. I don't know what's difficult for that A or that B. He needs to tell me first what kind of difficulties he's got, and I can say, what, maybe I could help you with that, but we have to work together. And that's beautiful, absolutely beautiful, because, I can't come into someone else's house and tell him, you have to change this and that, because I have no clue about their past, about the trauma, about anything, So my position is, I'm working with fathers, with the families. They'll, sometimes it's hard because we cannot trust each other, because the trust been broken before by social services and life. But, I'm saying, look, that's fine, absolutely fine. I'm here for you. If you want to talk to me, if you feel you want to share with me, tell me as much you feel comfortable. Maybe with time, with building relationship, you can tell me more, and that's absolutely working. The idea of not being forced to work with someone, it's absolutely great. And I think that's the priority, and that's what is why this is a huge success, because they know they can always tell me, you know what, Nikko, they're the doors, you can just leave. But we work with the families. We're asking them what they feel, what they see, how they, what's, like the questions, what kind of dad you are now, what kind of dad you want to be in five years. And I don't know his relationship with his son. I don't know his past. I don't know his role models. I don't know the dynamic of the family. So there's up to them, absolutely up to them. I can help them. I'm there for them. I can support them, but they have to know, and they have to discover what are the difficulties, the challenges, and that's the beauty of it.
I think one of the challenges that a lot of men have is they didn't have a good role model as a father.
Absolutely.
And so they're going, all right, I never even saw what a good dad looks like. So how am I going to figure it out? So in that scenario, what suggestions do you have for that dad that's going, I want to be a good dad, but I don't even know what to do?
Well, yeah, I mean, always asking about the past, about how was your dad? How did you feel being next to your dad? Because, some people got absolutely amazing experience, and when I've got a dad who's, I didn't have, my upbringing was pretty cold, I don't remember if my dad ever told me that he loves me, and that was the standards of 80s,
Yeah.
And it's we as well now as a people, we've got so much science about, connection, about attachment. So I can tell him, I'm reading articles, I can say to him in the easiest possible way, look, we have to attach to your child. We have to build this attachment. You have to build the connection. We're using, I don't know if I told you last time, we're using something called VIG, Video Interaction Guidance. When I'm recording, actually, this is something I've been trained in my organization. I'm recording dad's interaction with his son or daughter, you know, and I'm editing it at home. I'm picking up the best pieces of this, you know, spark of this interaction, and I'm coming back and I'm showing him on the laptop and I'm asking him, what do you see? So basically what we're trying to show the parent is the principle of attunement. So when you're getting so well with your child, you're getting in this, you know, play mode, you've got this spark in your eyes, you're getting actually attuned to your child. And with that, with time, when we're recording these 5, 6, 7, 8 sessions, is proven that the father can respond quickly to this, you know, this call from his child, and he's attuned much quicker, which means building stronger and better relationship. You know, putting his phone away. He's got this spark between him, and he knows automatically that, okay, that's the moment when I have to leave my phone, my telly, my game, whatever I'm doing, and go to play with my child. You know, I'm building this attunement. So that's one of the things we do, you know. But I mean, it's difficult to say what is, you know, because each family is different, each dynamic of the family is different, and every single parent is different. So that's the beauty of it as well, you know, because you cannot measure everyone in the same, you know, the same, how you saying it? Oh, I forgot. You cannot, you know, put everyone in the same box. You just have to pick, and you have to see what needs to be, you know, might be not changed, but what kind of support the family requires.
Yeah. The thing that is interesting as I'm listening to you is I'm thinking about my own kids. I think a lot of times we as dads think, oh, I'm going to parent, I'm going to interact with each one of my kids exactly the same, and I'm going to do the exact same things. And it's what's interesting is that does not work.
Absolutely,
and your kids go, well, how come you're letting that kid do that and you don't do it with me, and you're not doing it, you know, and it's because they interact with you differently. And so I think a lot of dads, they look from the outside in and go, oh, well, he's a great dad. He's a creative dad. He's a sports dad. Man, he can just interact with their kids. But you don't see the internal challenge, right? And I think a lot of times we as dads go, well, I'm not doing what he's doing, so I'm not a good dad. Well, what he's doing is probably exactly what is needed for his kids, but there's also probably some things that he's not doing that he's trying to figure out ourselves. And we're sitting there comparing ourselves instead of going, all right, this is who I am. This is the kind of man I am. I am stoic. I'm strong. Maybe I need to soften my approach. Or I'm a playful dad, and the kids come over on the weekend and all I'm doing is playing with them. And so my ex is mad because I'm the fun dad.
Yeah.
And he's trying to figure out, all right, how do I bring my kids into the weekend and yes, engage with them and maybe not go over the top of being fun, but having times where I'm really just visiting and connecting and talking with them, you know, like you shared last time. It's like you and your boy just, you know, sitting on the bed, just hanging out and rubbing each other's heads and thing. And so instead of comparing, going, all right, this is who I am as a dad, who I am as a man, and I need to start from here so that I can connect with my kids where they are.
I mean, I can actually tell something more about that, because we in Scotland, our education and approach to children is quite similar to Scandinavia, which is very, you know, child-centered approach. So I wouldn't say this is me and this is what kind of dad I am, and, you know, no, other way around. This is my child, and I need to come over to this child, to your son or to your daughter, you know, just to pick, just to see, you know, what kind of child your son is. Just let your child lead you instead of you leading your child, you know, because that's so beautiful. Because like even in Scotland, you know, when you go to the nursery, we've got free play, which means that children actually got access to outdoors, and the doors is always open. So child can decide if you want to go outside or inside, you know. And we as adults, we interact with children not like saying, you know, oh, you have to come back, you know, and it's cold outside. There is never cold, you know, you've got grown clothes, you know, it's always, you know. So we trying to follow children, and if they're interested in this and that, as a you know, educators, we keep exploring with them, but we're not telling them what to do. You know, when in nursery, that's beauty of it, and I can relate to my, you know, my work as well. I'm keep saying to my dads, let your child lead you, you know, give him a chance to show you what he's interested. Like sometimes we have conversation like, oh, I wanted to go with my son, let's go biking, you know, or you know, this and that. And I said, do you want to do that, or your child wants to do that? Maybe you should ask your child, oi, you know, what are we going to do this weekend? Tell me. And that was the same with me. I wanted to have, you know, weekends prepared for my children, evenings prepared, you know, and have all this stuff we're going to do. And I just realized that's just madness, because sometimes my children wants to cuddle up on the sofa with me. Sometimes they want to have a movie night. And sometimes they want to go, like last week we went on the beach, you know, had the fire and stuff like this. And instead of me trying to lead my children, I could be led by my children.
Oh man, I love that. Instead of you trying to lead your children, being led by your children. Yeah. Wow, that is so impactful. In fact, last week I was visiting with Robin Seeger on the podcast, and he made a statement that goes right in line with that. That's really got me thinking about it. He's like, he goes, I'm coming to the realization that I'm not so much as a parent as I am a guide, helping my children discover who they are. And I think one of the tricks of being a good dad is facilitating that exploration and that discovery with our children, so that they not only can discover who they are and express who they are and their interests and their talents and their gifts, but we get to explore that with them.
Yeah, absolutely. We have responsibility to give our children opportunities to explore. Do you know what I mean? And if my daughter wants to say to me that like that was the same with the cycling, you know, I bought her a bicycle. She learned how to cycle, and she said, Dad, I don't like it. You can sell the bike, you know, and that's absolutely fine. You know, I'm not going to push her to do stuff, you know, but I'm trying to ask her, would you like to do this? Would you feel comfortable going horse riding? And she doesn't need to do a million things and, you know, to do gymnastics, this and that. I would be happy if she would try few things once, and at least she will know and tell me, Daddy, I don't like it now. And I'm saying, fine, move on, you know. So yeah, we need to unlearn what was how we've been, you know, how, well, I can't speak now. We have to basically unlearn everything we know about, you know, us as adults, telling our children what to do. We have to, you know, obviously we've got a responsibility to keep our children safe and stuff like this, but we cannot be like helicopter parents. Do you know what I mean? Like putting them under a dome and saving them, because they have to learn about the risks. They have to learn about the world, you know, and we can help them if we're going to be, you know, showing them opportunities, and we're going to be led by them.
Yeah. So as a dad, you know, as you're trying to become really the guide in life, you know, not the professor. I mean, there's a time to be a professor, right? There's a time to teach, but if you can really be like an African safari guide and say, all right, I don't know what's out in the wild jungles of your heart, but I'm willing to go there and keep you safe from the things that can harm you, then you as a family, as a father, son, father, daughter, you get to explore and become together, right? And go really find that unity, find that love, find that passion for those things that are really interesting to you as a kid and as a dad. And what I've always told my kids is like, look, I'm willing to take you on any journey that you want to go on.
Yeah.
If you want to be an athlete, you want to be an artist, you want to be, you know, a scientist, I'm willing to do that. But you have to at least give it a season
Mhm.
of exploration, right? So if you're going to go play soccer, you can't play 2 games and be done. You got to go through the whole season so that you can get the entire experience. And then after, you can make the decision that says, no, that's not for me. And I think it's important that you set those guidelines and say, look, I'm willing to explore
Mhm.
everything with you, and I'll walk with you, and I'll be a coach, and I'll learn myself, but we're going to do it for a season, and then you can give up if you don't like it.
You know, my daughter, she's got this, like, I'm keep saying her to her, daddy loves you, and whatever you would like to do in the future. And she's like, yeah, I know, you will support me. And that's beautiful, because I never had that, yeah, I never had that. And she is already, like, I would say, fed up with that, and I just, like, I see in the eyes of my children love and appreciation, and they feel safe, and that makes me feel happy, and it's just like, when I'm walking into my daughter's, her mom house, and she's jumping on me, and it's like, we can spend 2 weeks together, day in, day out, and still we never feel like, we've got moments for ourselves, but we're still so much in love with each other, and we're finding this, passion and fire, and it's amazing. My daughter told me, oh, dad, you're weird, you're embarrassing. I said, I'm accepting this role because you're 9. In 4 years, I'm going to be even more embarrassing to you, because I'm just going to be your dad, and you're going to be around your pals and gals and stuff like this. And I'm accepting that. I can't be embarrassing dad. I'm going to be tattooed rock and roll dad. And I don't mind when you're going to say to me, oh my God, dad, please stop, because this is the way of life, and I'm so I cannot express to you how I feel being a dad and talking about fatherhood. That makes me, I think, the happiest guy on earth. Absolutely, I love and adore being a father.
Yeah, and it definitely shows. It shows in your Instagram posts. It shows in the work that you're doing with men, trying to help them connect with their kids. And I think one of the things that I would really emphasize to the listeners is, look, you don't have to do it the way I do it. You don't have to do it the way Nikko does it.
Absolutely.
Find the way that works for you and your family. Now, if you're struggling, be open to looking around, be open to having the dialogue and go, man, I'm really struggling in this aspect of my life or my relationship. And I may say something to you that you may go, that's way out in left field. That is not going to work for me. And that's okay. Right. But as we can have the dialogue and we can explore our own strengths, our own weaknesses. And I think a lot of times we as men focus on our weaknesses instead of focusing on our gifts.
Yeah, we've got at work this approach as well, is a strength-based approach. So, yes, we don't say I'm bad at this. We say I might have challenges, but we're focusing on the strength, because you can build up more strength, and that will turn your challenges into, or that will make your challenges disappear. But it's always important to think, and it's hard for us as a guys, to say, do you know what? I'm good at this and that and that. Let's start from this, because we keep saying to ourselves, like, sorry, but I'm so bad. I'm pardon me, but I'm shit, and we're focusing on the bad stuff instead of focusing on the positive stuff, and I think that comes as well with change in our mentality and open discussion with the dad, saying, look, guys, let's start talk about what we're good at and how we can, widen that and be better.
Yeah. I think a lot of men need to realize, just like in business, right? I own my own business. I am really, really good at connecting with people, talking to people, creating that foundation and that bridge. I'm really good at marketing, but I suck, plain out suck when it comes down to the minute details of the finances. That's not my strength. That's why I have a partner that does that. So take that into fatherhood. What is your strength? and embrace your strength and go all in on that strength and bring that gift to your kids, and quit kicking yourself in the butt because you don't have XYZ skill, because that's not your gift, and allow your natural gift to be the bridge for that connection with your kid.
Especially when you've got, blended families or dads which seeing their kids, a few times a month, instead they feel they're losing it. They feel like they're not good enough because they're not full-time dads. And that's the truth, because we have to, you're there. Many dads, living and going away in different countries, many dads are not fighting. If you there for your child, if you make an effort, they will understand, they will thank you in a few years. And that doesn't mean you're a bad dad. You have to deal what you have to deal with. And, if you've got weekends only, or you've got few hours a week, that's still fine, but give your best shot in this time,
Yeah. So let's talk about one of the interesting things is, as I follow you on Instagram, you have an English channel and you have a non-English channel. And a lot of times I'm watching your non-English channel and I'm going, I wish I could understand this. Right? And I think a lot of times we as men, we are looking outside and it's foreign to us. And then we look to another thing and it connects with us. Right? So recognize that there are people, there are talents, there are resources that will connect for you. And so don't give up just because you can't connect. There is somebody that you can relate to that will enable you to go where you want to be as a man, as a father, as a husband. So as you're, I guess, kind of in wrap up here, what are some key things that you would tell fathers that are struggling, that they're working through that self-doubt and, they're just not sure what to do? What are a few key things that you would say, look, do this and it will help you and your family?
I mean, it's especially those two questions, look into, how your child would describe you right now. If that would be, oh, my dad is always working. I've got those dads and say, oh yeah, he would say, I'm always working. So, so the first thing, if he says so, or if he would say that, how would you like to be described in 2 years and 5 years, and how we can get there from point A to point B slowly? This is not a sprint, So obviously, I know that people have to provide in this case, and have to work so many hours. But if you know that your child doesn't like about you this and that, just at least try to change it. Try to give him, try to understand why. And I think that's the base for it.
Yeah, I love it. So how do men connect with you? We have your book. It's called The A Word, which is accessible on Amazon.com. So just look up The A Word, Nikko Sadlowski. But also, how do men interact with you on Facebook and all that other stuff?
Yeah, I've got the apparently.com blog, and I've got my Polish, which is Rock Daddy, because I'm tattooed and stuff, But to be honest, like you said, you're good about, about connecting. I'm not good about marketing, and I don't really, follow those things, and I don't really pay attention. I'm just, if someone buy my book, I'm happy. If not, I'm happy as well, But, it's so I never thought about myself as a writer, but, actually now I finished my third book. But it's so I'm always happy to connect with people. Obviously, is a time difference between here and United States, so please don't call me in the middle of the night. But
come on, I can't call you at 7 p.m. my time. That'd be what, 2 a.m. your time?
Oh, what time is it over there now?
Right now it's 1:48. So
wow, yeah. So it's so he's over here is what 12 to 9 p.m. So
yeah, it's 7 hours difference, but that's okay. So the nice thing is I know I can always connect with you morning my time, and you and I can have a great conversation. So, well, I want to thank you for taking the time. It's a phenomenal discussion, and all the way from, being a dad of an autistic child to just being a dad that's trying to do a great job. I love your Instagram, Rock Daddy UK. Make sure to connect with them. Yeah, a lot of it's in Polish, but he also has some English stuff in there as well. And I guess the interesting thing to me as I watch people, because I love different cultures, I love different languages, you can always speak the language of love.
Yes.
You can see it in the way people interact with each other. Even if you can't hear the words and understand the words, you can always see love. And I love that connection, because I'm like, you know what? I can tell he's a good dad. I may not understand the Polish, but I do understand the language of love that I see going on between you and your kids.
Yeah, that's the spark, that's the spark in your eyes, and absolutely, like when I'm talking to you and I'm thinking about my kids, obviously we co-parenting and not always in here, but it puts a smile on my face because I think about my kids, and man, I think fatherhood is the best thing happened to me, and I think the fatherhood saved me, to be honest.
Yeah, it's interesting now. Being a dad to a kid can totally change your perspective and your value on life and what's most important. So I want to thank you so much for being my guest. You guys that are tuning in, thank you so much for joining me every week. I'm trying to find, and God's opening the doors and blessing me with phenomenal men. I mean, we're having some amazing discussions. I invite you to go back and look at some of the past episodes. I'm telling you, there is a lot of phenomenal information, experiences, tips, and tricks on how to be a better dad, a better father, a better husband. And that's really what it's all about, to get us excited, to ignite the fire within us, to become the best fathers, the best husbands. And we will check you same time, same bat channel, just next week, right on here on Father's Fire. See ya!
This is something that really stuck with me. And when I realized that, then this, oh my God, you are like your dad after all. And that was a whole other thing that I really beat myself up. And I'm like, all right, now I'm really going to be the opposite. I'm going to be present. And I became overbearing in a way. And it wasn't me. And that is that journey that I needed to go on. I needed to find who I am as Robin, as a man, as a husband, as a father, as a human. And then out of that, develop what my idea of parenting is. And really what that was just showing up as the unconditional me that I can be, with my flaws, with my strengths, with everything else, and be present in that moment. And yeah, letting go of all the books, all the and this is why this is so important. Like these kind of conversations, I'm not here to tell anybody do it this way. But if there is somebody sitting there and going, that makes sense, that would work for me, that is what I want. I want people to think on their own and pick the nuggets from people that walked a similar path. I always use the analogy of, I feel like we're all in a tunnel. The only difference is that I have a flashlight and I'm able to walk next to you with that flashlight and, show a little bit, because I've already been there. I've already gone through certain tribunals and challenges in my life, and I'm happy to share them. But I'm also happy to listen, and a 20-year-old can give me just as much value as an 80-year-old. I love sitting with elders. I love sitting with that knowledge, and just connect. Find like-minded people that can support you, that can listen. That is things that really helped me find ways to open up to men. A huge thing to just really understand what it actually takes to be vulnerable with another man. And the last one, when we talked about the cup, it's the cup will never be filled from the outside. It's not your partner's job. It's not your kid's job. It's not your parents' job to fill your cup.
Yeah.
That is not, and we're not, it's not our job to fill their cup either. It's just, we're all in this life. I feel like we're the icing on the top. If we can lift each other's up, that's great. But the cup, that is our own responsibility.
No, I love that. Well, I want to thank you for taking the past 46 minutes. I mean, we've had just an amazing conversation. I want to thank you for that and be respectful of your time. Thank you to your wife for allowing you and I to visit this morning. For those of you that are listening, please make sure to check him out on Instagram. He's at Sacred Rebel. Are there other ways to connect with you? Because I know we have Clubhouse, Are You Man Enough? That is every Monday through Saturday at 9 a.m. Central Time. It's a phenomenal group, so I invite you guys to come join us. And even if you can't make it every day, just drop in and listen. You don't have to get on stage. Just listening and hearing other men's stories is uplifting in itself. So are there other ways that men can connect with you, Robin?
Absolutely. Robin at robinseeger.com. If you want to send me an email, robinseeger.com is the website that I'm just working on. It's not fully functional, but there's a way to connect with me. Facebook, same thing. But yeah, I think that's the easiest. Just email, Instagram, or find me on Clubhouse. Like, it's a phenomenal platform that allowed me to be here in this moment. And I just once again want to say thank you. Like, it's been fun. Such a pleasure chatting with you this morning, and would love to do this in a part 2 anytime.
Yeah, we definitely, because I have a bunch of more questions for you. And that's the thing I love about these conversations. I mean, the whole purpose of Father's Fire is to get, the perspective of other men, get us talking about our experiences as fathers, as husbands, with the intent to, share a nugget that hopefully will touch your heart. I want to thank you, men, for joining me every week. Please make sure to like, subscribe, and share. And also, I want to let you guys know I finished my first book. It's in the rough draft. It's being reviewed. So hopefully I will have that in time for a Father's Day release. It's called Learning to Dance with Life's Currents When You Feel Like Drowning. So I'm really excited. So thank you guys for joining us. And we will check you same time, same bat channel right here on Father's Fire. See ya.